Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rendy Alfarrohman and I'm from TBI Big Class and fourth semester. Alright, today in this beautiful moment, like usual, I will make a short video for about 10 minutes and it's about Educational Day, Freedom of Learning. Alright, talking about freedom of learning. Freedom of learning is also important to the students in the school, in the senior high school, in the junior high school, and others. Why? It's so important because freedom of learning can make the students more happy. What I mean is, the students have to more expression, not always think about psychological. Freedom of learning is so important because the students have to more expression, not always think about psychological. That's the first. And the second, why? Freedom of learning is also more important. Why? I think because there is the positive effect and the negative effect. So what is the positive effect of freedom of learning to the students? I think the positive effect is can make easier in a teaching learning and also can uh, can upgrade the understanding can upgrade the understanding of the students in a teaching learning, although that in junior high school, senior high school, and university and others, that's a positive effect. And the second, the negative effects. What's the negative effect of freedom of learning? I think the negative effect, that is, uh, the students can get the less of understanding in the teaching learning because they late to study, because they late in the studying in the teaching learning process. I think that's the part. What I mean is, I think that the negative effect of freedom of learning. That's why I will repeat again why freedom of learning is very important to students, because students have to more expressions, not always think about the psychological, and also it can make the student more easier to the teaching learning process, and also can upgrade the understanding of the students. But beside that, there is the negative effect that I have said just now. The negative effect is can the student can get less understanding because they late in studying in teaching learning process. And I think not only that, the not only that the students can get from the freedom of learning. I think the teacher can get the benefit, the benefit of what is that of freedom of learnings. And what are they? I think the first is it can make uh, it can make more easier to the teacher in teaching learning. So I did the same with the student when they doing the teaching learning process in a class or in a group or in other situation or in other environment. The first is can make easier to the teacher because it can make easier to think about what will happen, what will the teacher do for the students, in order the students not not always think about what have they no, not always think about the psychological, but have the more expressions, more happy, more innovations. I think that's. And the second is, and the second, the benefit of uh, freedom of learning to the teachers. The second is, uh, and the second is can support the teacher to get more innovation in a teaching learning in order the student also uh, have innovations, more innovations, in order more innovation, in order they can make the creativities, more creativities, not only one creativities. I think that the second benefit of freedom learning. I think that's, and the third was that the third uh, benefit of freedom of learning to the teacher is, the third benefit to the teacher is it can uh, it can make the situations more what is it uh, more happy. It can make the situation more happy because as we know teacher is important to the uh, teacher is very important to the country to make the future of the students in our country, especially in our country Indonesia, because uh, with the happy situations can make a student more interesting, more interesting, more, it can make the student more what's that more uh, spirit to study about the lessons. So the situations was that the situation makes happy. It can be, it's also important to the students, but not students, but also important to the teacher, but also not the teacher, but also it but also the parents, the family of the students can feel the situation, that the happy situations. And the fourth benefit of freedom of learning to the teacher is that do not order the students, don't order the student to same with other students, knowledge students, because we know me as a student, as a university, of course will not want if the teacher order us, order me to same with another student, because it can make the student feel bored, if not spirit in the teaching learning process. So the benefit of freedom of learning to the teacher, that is not always order a student to same to another students. Okay, that's the fourth was the fourth benefit of freedom of learning. And the fifth the fifth benefit to the teacher in freedom of learning, that is we can that is we can support teacher in innovations inside of the teaching learning process. We know inside that we can get more innovation, we can make more innovations, and always support support us to to make the teaching learning a process by ourselves to be better than before. I think the fifth benefit, that is we can support the teacher in innovations inside of the freedom of learning. I think that I think that's from the video today. So talking about freedom of learning also important. Is very important to students, to the teacher, to the parent of the students, because not only the students can feel the freedom of learning, but also the teacher and the parents of students can feel the freedom of learning. Okay, I think that's all from my from my video today. That's all. Thank you very much. If I have any mistake, forgive me please. And guys, I say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.